she wants, my career, career, career. As soon as she has a baby, her going back to work becomes a myth at some point.
Oh yeah, push that closer. That,
Yeah.
yeah, no, but this is what I'm saying, because even what I want to talk about today, because it's like, obviously it's not so much happiness in terms of like normal life, but even just like it's happiness in terms of like when you've gone through grief here. But just briefly on happiness with normal life here, I feel like with happiness, yeah, it's like, okay, cool. It might look like family, kids, marriage, house, whatever, yeah. But then I feel like it's often the time is like when people get there and they have, yeah, you see it from surface level, you see, okay, cool, someone has a family, someone's, kid, they look like they're well, but then, okay, are you happy? Like,
Mm.
and I always feel like, raw, okay, like if someone says, oh, I'm not happy, and they're like, oh, but that's all I want. I want to have a family, this and that, and I've got that now. So it's like, oh, you was placing your happiness into that. Now that you have it now what? What do you chase next? I don't know. I feel like sometimes with these things, like happiness is like a thing we chase rather than it just being something that's in like something that just being in us. So it's like I can be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be happy when I get here, when I do this, when I do that. I feel like we'll get so focused on
Like setting goals.
setting goals. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be happy until I reach them. And even
Yeah.
then, if you don't reach it, if you don't reach it, you're not gonna be happy. So it's like, bruv, I'm like, because even me, I used to think like, I remember when like, oh, my mum died, and I was like, nah, like this is mad. Obviously, at the time, I was like, this. At the time, what I was going through is grief, but I'm not thinking this is what that's what it's called. And I'm just thinking, bruv, I'm just sad. Like, my mum's passed, and like I need to get out of this in it.
Mm.
And at the time, I'm not thinking, oh, but how can I get out of this? At the time, my thinking was like, you know what, yeah, like was my relationship at the time. I was like, that's what's gonna get me through. Like once I get married, then that's it. The grief is gonna be calm. I'm not gonna grieve no more because that's gonna make me happy. That's gonna solve everything. And then when you kind of get there, no sorry, when the relationship broke down, I'm like fuck, like shit. And then I was
Yeah.
like, now what? And it's
Yeah.
like, and that's why obviously like with any relationship breakup, you feel it in it. That's just
Yeah.
normal. But I felt even more because of that, because I was placing happiness in that relationship,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, yeah, okay, happiness is gonna get rid of this grief. So once I get married, I'm calm. I'm gonna be good. Like I'm not gonna be mourning anymore and stuff. And then when that didn't happen, I'm just like, shit. Fuck. I'm like,
Yeah. That's it. Because you know what's mad? Like, I think a lot of people do that. You can't associate an accomplishment or setting goals and achieving something happiness, because then if you lose that, if you don't achieve it, then what? That means you can't
mm,
be happy. That means if you lose that relationship, are you sad now? So
mm,
there's no point again. So I think with when it comes to happiness anyway, it shouldn't be. It has to have greater meaning than, yeah, more so than associating it to a goal. Because goals can come and go. It's like, okay, you can achieve something, and then what next? There's always something else. So assigning happiness to a goal, personally, I don't think it does anything for you, because goals change, goals can grow. Do you know what I mean?
that's the thing. But it's hard. It's easier said than done though, because like most things that we set our mind to, it is probably gonna. I feel like most achievements it's often ends with, okay, if I achieve, it ends with happiness. Like
Mm.
any goal you set should result in happiness. Like in your own kind of in your own
Yeah.
opinion. Like if I said I wanna get a house by 2023, of course it's gonna make me happy because I've achieved it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little feel good moment,
Do you know
isn't
what I
it?
mean?
And but then you move.
And then what it is, have you ever felt like, when you've wanted something,
Yeah.
you finally got it, and now you're like, okay, I've got this now. It's calm, but it's like I'm not okay. Now what? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think what I've learned anyway, like me, like I said, now I've got a family, married, I've got two kids, everyone's healthy. Like like my personal life, like family life, I'm blessed. I can't really complain. the only thing I struggle with is like work slash what am I contributing to the world. That's the only thing that makes me kind of like unhappy, you know, because work is it's like a okay, I'm going to work, I'm doing the same thing,
Mm.
I'm like a robot, you know, it's just okay, repeating the same cycle. I'm not adding any benefit to anyone, really. So for me, I'm just like in that sense, you know. For some people, they might love what they do. For me, I don't personally love what I do, so that's why I'm in that kind of that rut. But if I was adding benefit in my own head, you know, like, you know, if I set up a charity or something like that, and I could see that it was making an impact on people's life, I'll be blessed.
Mm.
Because I think that's what we're here for. That we're supposed to help people, and that's why most times you hear when people say, "Oh yeah, there's no greater satisfaction than when helping someone." When you help someone and they say, "Well, you know what you've done has changed my life" or whatever. That's like true happiness because it's selfless. It's a selfless act. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of point where I want to get to, where I could just be eternally happy knowing that I'm living my life in service to people. Yes, there might be financial gain allotted to it, but most things are, isn't it? Sometimes to kind of to broaden your reach, there has to be some sort of financial gain sometimes, whether you put money in and then, you know, promote it to the broader scale or whatever. Some if you have events and whatnot, sometimes money comes your way, but obviously you still can do things with that money. You can invest it in people, set up something else. But I just think
Mm.
helping others ultimately is true happiness.
Now it's true though. Like with me, like again, when I think of grief and happiness, like at the time, like I said at the time, I was like, nah, this is something I need to get rid of. Like this feeling of just always down. But the thing is, you can never get over losing your parents, innit?
No.
You just kind of move with it. But the trouble I had was I don't know how I'm gonna live life again and sort of be happy again. And because I didn't know, like I said, I was placing it in people and
Mm,
things. And then when you do that, I don't listen. I'm always talking from my point of view. When I did that, it's like I'm already setting myself up for destruction because no one listen. If I'm putting my happiness in someone else's hand, whether that's at the time again a partner, whatever, a job, this and that, and the minute I start to get even a sense of dissatisfaction with that job or with that, but it's peak.
that's it. Yeah, self
It's peak, and
destruction.
it's because again you and then it's like you're back to square one. You're forever searching because the happiness is not with you. So you always run into something
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that you feel like it's happiness, but actually nah. Like if you just sit still and listen, look. And the thing with me, my discovery wasn't even a case of I didn't. It wasn't a thing where like I sat down with myself and thought, raw. What did what's gonna make me happy now that I've gone through grief? Like, can I be happy again after grief? So all these questions that I'm thinking of, I've answered them just by going through grief and doing something with that grief without realizing it. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm being happy again because like I'm moving with the grief. So it's not a case of me trying to what I was trying to do before, get rid of it and and think that I'm gonna be happy if I place it in something else. So
mm,
like I said, in people, in relationships, or jobs, whatever. Because that's what they can make me more depressed. So I feel like what kind of gave me satisfaction over the years, or not even that, just gave me sort of a sense of peace, yeah, and happiness was just like, bro, writing about it, talking about it.
yeah. I mean,
Like
yeah,
I get a buzz just like talking about something or about my grief and someone's like, oh, you know, I can relate to that. This was really spot on. And again, it's not ego thing, innit? But it's just
yeah.
like, yo, like
But that's what I'm trying to.
this
It's
is
selflessness, isn't
do you
it?
know what I mean?
It's just you being vulnerable. And obviously, a lot of people, a lot of men in particular, we're not vulnerable enough, or we're, you know, we're mocked if we're, you know, if we're made to be vulnerable. So I think this kind of getting things out into the public, you're gonna help someone one way or another, you know, which is the main thing.
Mm.
everyone just, each one teach one, everyone helping one another.
But when you think of like, you said earlier for you, it's mad because when I always think of you, I'm like, bro, like I always tell you all the time when we talk, or sometimes to people, like, bro, like you're doing your thing, you've got your family, you're doing right by them, and doing right by them. But it's like it's easy for me to say that, like, not as easy for me to say that just from the outside looking in. And I don't mean that you're miserable and stuff, but even earlier when you said, you know what, like I don't, okay, I'm working, you're good at what you do, I don't necessarily love it, but I'm thinking like, raw, okay, you got a good job, doing well, like putting food on the table, providing for the family. So, bro, you're calm. You must. I'm trying to say, you
Yeah,
must be happy. I'm not saying that you're not, but it's
yeah,
easy to kind of look at someone else and think, oh, raw, like, yeah, that's what happiness is. But everyone is different, isn't it?
yeah. Everyone's different, and I don't know. Obviously, sometimes it depends. It depends on who you're talking to. I could come across like, oh, he's selfish, he's ungrateful. Don't get me wrong. When I go home and I look at my family and we're eating at the table, whatever, that's it. I know I'm blessed.
Mm,
I can thank God. Like, yeah, most people don't even have this. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone's got a family, but just having that a close family where we all get along. We all singing of the same hymn sheet. It's like we're all the same person
yeah.
because we've all grown up in the same house. Like our jokes are very personal. So if
Mm,
we go outside and like we're laughing, people might be like, "What's so funny?" But it's like an inner joke because we're so close.
yeah.
So yeah, my with my family, I'm happy, I'm content. But then I guess that if I kind of break myself into two, like 50% the family man, 50% me and Marlon, there's that selfishness that okay, well, I wanna add something, before I go, I wanna do something of significant meaning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anyone can go to work, anyone can provide, but I think everyone should do something for someone else.
No, I agree, man, because it's easy to fall in that trap of, just kind of
Go through the motion, isn't it? It's become
wake up, turn
robots.
on the laptop, do this, do that, go this and that, like, and it sounds corny when you think, oh, like, bro, when you talk about passions and stuff like that and things that you enjoy, like, I feel like now, when I was younger, I used to think, nah, like, it's all about passion, isn't it? It's all about
Yeah,
finding something you're passionate about, never mind what it is. And obviously, when you grow up, you realize, actually, you know what, this might pay the bills more. This might make more
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
But you can do both, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? You can do both in a sense where now, yeah, you can be at your job where you don't necessarily love, you don't hate either, but you're doing what you need to do. But also, aside from that, you're working on something that's you're passionate about. Do you know what I mean? So it depends how you look at it. But even with me, I'm like, you know what? When I was younger, I was like, I always knew, I wanna write someday, like, to help people, in some way inspire people, like, because literally, for me, writing was always my thing of like, brother, I like expressing myself through writing, and it's so mad, like, through, like, fast forward now, I'm thinking, yo, actually, I've started doing what, like, I've always said to myself, yeah, like, I want to write a book, I want to write to help people, inspire people, but I just don't know what will get me there in it.
yeah,
And it's like, come 2015 now, come 2014, 2015, dad passed in 2014, mum passed away 2015. And cool, like, going years, like, it's been almost like 6 years now. And now I'm like a place where, like, bruv, like, this is it. It's like, and again, it's not like it's a light bulb moment, but I'm like, raw, this is like, I'm doing it. I'm
yeah,
like, unfortunately, I'm like, it's taken my own life, you know what I'm trying to say?
yeah,
Like, my own personal experience for me to kind of use that personal experience and use that to kind of help others in it.
yeah.
Do you
But
know what I mean?
that's what's dope about the podcast, isn't it? Because it's authentic.
Mm.
It's coming from a place of personal experience. You've gone through it
Yeah,
at
yeah.
first hand. You know what I mean? So, and we all go through it. We don't know what to expect when we go through it,
Mm.
and everyone handles things differently. I can't remember what film I was watching, but the guy said, it's like a grey cloud, you know, grief, and it can either consume you or you can revel in it. But ultimately, it's down to the individual to deal with it. It doesn't go away. Grief is always there, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be like a burden. You learn to live with it. Well, personally, anyway, I've learned to live with it. I still have to take some moments out where I just need to sit back, think about it, think about my pups and whatnot, go and visit him. But ultimately, it's always there. It's always in my mind. He's always with me.
Mm.
So I think I don't think it ever goes away. I just think it's something you have to live with.
But it's interesting because I remember a while back you said like obviously it changes your outlook. Like before your dad passed, like what was happiness to you? And so like after his passing, do you still have that same vision, that same what's the word? Do you still have that same idea of happiness, or has that changed? So as essentially, so has grief affected your idea of happiness?
No, I would say prior to my dad passing, I was probably naive. I was probably in a bubble. Like life wasn't really real at that point because I'm still young, just doing uni and
Mm,
whatnot. Like life hasn't really set in. There's no real responsibility. But as soon as he passed, then I think, yeah, okay, like I've been punched in the face now. It's like a wake up call. Like life isn't rosy. Life isn't everything that you want it to be. It's not all dreams and wishes. It's real. Some
mm,
things, some experience will punch you in the face, and some things will require you to stand up and you know to work harder to to be a better person. And unfortunately, again, it's this one of those personal experiences that you don't want to have to go through to make you see that. But yeah, that was the case for me. So I never really viewed what's happiness. Do you know what I mean? But in him passing and trying to kind of understand it and make sense of it all, it's just made me a better father, if anything,
mm.
and made me just a better person as I've come to terms with it, because I've had to really do some soul searching, try and understand like the feelings behind, you know, like how I felt about my own upbringing, our relationship, now my relationship and stuff like that. So I just think, yeah, no, I think it's just been a wake up call in that sense. It just allowed me to kind of reevaluate who I am as a man, really.
No, I can relate. I can relate a lot. Like before, before grief, before all that, like everything else has come with it. Like I was, yeah, my own bubble of my own. I'm like, yo, this is how life is gonna be.
That's it. Running
Like,
jokes.
I'm just, I don't know. Like, I'm not. I'm still like a like a grown child, like
Yeah,
in a sense where I'm growing, but I still have this kind of like innocent viewpoint of what happiness is. So like for me, it's just happiness is, like growing, seeing my parents grow old. Happiness is like, me just not going through any issues, like any issues that I will go through. It'll probably be as I'm in later on in life, but well, that's not how it works, man.
that's what I'm
Like,
saying. It's perspective because I remember I was thinking, okay, yeah. So yeah, my dad's passed. Okay, yeah, it's a wake up call now. And then the leading events, so the follow up events. So okay, I'm essentially I'm essentially the father playing the dad figure at home to my younger siblings. Yeah, I work. I'm helping mumsy out with the money, trying to be a good example for my younger brothers and sisters. And then it comes to planning the funeral. And when you see, again, that's another
mm,
learning moment because the perception of family gets skewed a bit in terms of like the way people then you see how people viewed your father and you see how people view the monetary gains that they can get from someone's death, or you know you start to learn certain things about what family is and who your family is as well. So I think just that whole learning experience, it's just a whole wake up call. And I guess it just kind of made me focus on changing the meaning of family, isn't it? Because everyone's got family, but doesn't necessarily make them your family.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
bro, trust me.
So yeah, I think yeah, I just went on a tangent there, but
No, no,
no, I just think yeah, you realize that you've been playing the father figure, at the home you're living with because there is no dad at home.
mm,
So yeah, it's definitely a wake up call because you realize that you're not. I shouldn't have been playing that position.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just
It's like what we talked about last time you was on about
yeah.
like,
I'm just a big brother. I shouldn't be
yeah, yeah, like
playing dad.
we take it on as a badge of honor, but actually, like we should only just be being ourselves. But because like again, it could just be due to a lot of stuff. Like maybe you just think, yeah, as the guy, that's what we're supposed to do. But
Yeah,
it's conditioning, bro. It's
that's
all
it.
conditioning. Like, do you know what I mean? And like even like when I think of happiness, it's all conditioning as well. Like I'm like, okay, like happiness is yes, doing this, going to college, going to uni, do this, do like getting married, all of that. Oh, don't get me wrong, all that stuff is I want to do, I want to do, but the way it's like kind of be conditioned to it, like as if to say that's the only thing that's gonna happen to us
Mm.
throughout our livelihood, like
Yeah,
throughout that kind of timeline of whether it's university, getting a job, getting married, there's gonna be stuff in between.
yeah,
For me, it's just that my in between is grief. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
so I'm God willing, I'm still gonna get to those other places of what I see happiness as, which is having a family, like having a good support network, network of people. I'm still gonna have that, but along the way, it's just like little, how can I put it, like bumps in it.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
just that like where before grief, I'm thinking these bumps will come at maybe like towards the end of the
yeah,
timeline,
yeah,
not so early on in it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But it's like with everyone's timeline is different. So like if we see everyone's timeline, said everyone's life being a timeline,
yeah.
like cool, my bumps are here, your bumps might be there, someone else's
That's
bumps
it.
might be there. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's all it's everyone is different, isn't it?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying because basically it's like growing up, like I said, that kind of naivety sort of thing.
Mm,
No one really talks about death. It's one of those, you know, subjects was there, but it's not spoken about in many terms of talking about life, isn't it? So you grow up and it's like, okay, yeah, no one really talks about it. You don't really consider the fact, well, actually, my parents are getting old. Actually, they're not as mobile anymore. Yeah, yeah, that, okay, well, they might have a few hospital appointments,
mm,
but you get me, they're breaking down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for example, like my mum, like if I go check my mum or whatever, then she might have a letter in the fridge because she got an appointment, and I need to read it just to make sure that she's blessed, speak
mm,
to her, make
mm.
sure everything's okay. But again, like ultimately in life, like you just see your parents breaking down in front of you. They're not here forever.
Mm.
And sometimes, life is a bit spontaneous. There's curveballs, so one parent might get hit with cancer, like my dad, or something can happen, but we're never really prepared for it because those are conversations
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that are had. And then obviously it's the same with like life insurance. It's all these sort of things, and I just think it's these conversations that we need to have,
yeah,
even
yeah,
just from a early age, for me to just to sit down and say, look, son, yeah, obviously I'm here today, but anything can happen. Nothing's guaranteed. I don't want to be You don't want to be morbid, but it's just the realities. It's setting expectations, isn't it? Just like, look, you know, one day, you know, I might not wake up
mm,
in all harshness, but basically that's what it is, But life goes on, and it's just trying to maybe preparing. I don't know if you can plant seeds to prepare your kids because obviously you're always going to feel what you feel. But I think again, if people speak about it from an earlier age, but done in a certain way, I think that people might not have to live with certain things because depending on where you are in your life, it could cause a mental health issue. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
It could cause it could be traumatic for someone like losing a parent, especially if they're there, if it happens in front of them, or whatever the case
mm,
may
mm.
be. And when that child now potentially,
Bro, like
moving forward.
this is it. Like we're not really like it
We've
reminds me
had it.
of a post that wrote a few months ago. I titled it like the D word. Like no one really mentions the D word because it's like we're just so used to going through life hoping for the best, as we should. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
as we should.
yeah, as we should. Yeah,
But like going through stuff, yeah. Like I said before, you said to us, you was like naive before
yeah,
your dad passed. Like, and for me, bro, I was like naive as well, like thinking like just because the world doesn't stop. It was like this: the world doesn't stop spinning because I've lost parents, and prior to that, the world isn't kind of in my favor. I have to actively go out there and make the most
yeah.
of it. The
That's
world
it.
doesn't owe us anything. Do you know what I mean? It's up to us in it to kind of
That's it.
like you know back to what I said about happiness. We can see it as this kind of societal thing of like getting married, having kids, and this timeline thing. But it's up to us to like redefine it,
Mm,
despite with all the curveballs we've been through. Like I don't know,
yeah,
and it's hard to kind of have these conversations when you're just so used to like oh no, we don't talk about these things until it happens.
yeah,
Until that's what I'm saying. You don't talk about until it happens.
yeah.